Hey, team players, and welcome back. You guys know me. I love the eliminator contest, and that's what we're going to be doing today. Also, now that we rounded the corner here in August, we're going to be starting these conversations with your live questions feeding into us about your redraft strategies, what it is you want to achieve. Remember, we make champions here. Of our regulars, people win championships and make their finals at obscene rates. Over 90% of our subscribers won their league last year. This is what we do. This is what we win at, and this is what we do. Not been the cleanest intro in world history, but that's where we're at here. And again, we're going to be doing for everyone who's watching live here. Send your questions and comments in. We'll be answering them as they come. Bob will be giving us his jump in here in a moment. So, guys, the eliminator tournament, as you guys have heard me say before on underdogs, is all about having a high floor to advance. That's one of the biggest things of how you get it. It's a great thing, and it's also about as close as best ball can get to a redraft league, because the simple nature is you're constantly battling against each other, and you have to pull out that W regardless of who you are. And we're going to be doing a live one here. We're going to be jumping in and clicking that button at 3:56 Eastern time. Will be when we're starting this eliminator here on Underdogs. Feel free to jump in with us. We're all here to make some awesomeness and make some people happy and excited. So with that being said, let's talk about some stuff that's going on here, Bob. When we're seeing the world right now of fantasy, what's glaring out to you? What's something that you think you could exploit, take advantage of? What's some stuff we need to know about?
So there's a couple of things that I think that we need to be aware of, and a couple of the markets that are rising and falling at various intervals. When we look at the news recently, right, we're seeing a lot of, because practices are happening, we're seeing a lot of injuries. And as injuries go, I think it's important to keep note. What's happening, Magic? It's important to keep note of groin injuries, ankle injuries, hamstring injuries,
soft body tissues.
Things that if we don't know a lot about it, it could be okay. But we want to make sure that things like this aren't continuing to nag. So just giving up a couple of examples, right? So if you just troll on Roto World and you see some of the sources and the information, take, for example, Khalil Shakir, right? It says he was rolled up on during team drills. Typically, if that were to happen in the middle of the season, certain players would be out for a couple of weeks. We have players like Braylon Allen experiencing knee soreness. Okay, necessarily not a big issue. Then we have legs and groins for Scadaboo and Pittman. Wilson is in.
Mike Wilson already has a groin.
And AJ Brown is. And AJ Brown is dealing with
a Scadaboo already.
Yeah, Scadaboo's dealing with an injury already here. But when we look at when we do look at everything there, we have to consider that this really affects big names that are in higher rounds. You might be willing to take a little bit of a chance on lower rounded players. But I think that all things considered, that we need to keep this in mind as we work on drafting. I'm going to see if Joe's back. If something happened to his screen. Yeah, Joe will be right back. So we won't click on 356 yet. We'll wait for him to come back. But when we take a look and we continue to look at some of those injuries, let's pull it up here so that we have something to look at. So looking right here, dealing with a hamstring injury, AJ Brown. So why I say that this is something to kind of capitalize on, right, is that if this is not something that bothers you, AJ Brown is going to fall a couple of places in the second round. So you might be able to build right now in certain tournaments, especially in Best Ball Mania, but definitely in tournaments like the Eliminator and Weekly Winners, you might be able to build a more unique team if you're willing to take the risk on a soft tissue injury similar to this in the vein of A.J. Brown. When we look at Khalil Shakir, we see week to week with the high ankle sprain. And then we see news like this, where James Conner is positioning himself as a co-running back situation with Trey Benson potentially, or he wants to be in that situation. We also see news coming up here with things like Kyle Monangai, where we have Kyle Monangai is getting more reps. So when we see that guys like Kyle Monangai are stepping up to the plate and guys like Nick Chubb, for example, aren't really stepping up to the plate, it makes me want to take more chances on guys that are younger later on and avoid people like Nick Chubb. I took him a little bit, but now I'm probably not going to. And then this also plays a role in the guys like Emmanuel Wilson, where we see that he dodged a significant injury, but we want him to be in on training camp playing. We want him to get the reps so that if Jacobs does get hurt, he has a better chance to go in there, because Marshawn Lloyd is also dealing with an injury. Then we have good news for Jordan James, because again, Isaac Guerrero is hurt up here. So we have Isaac Guerrero is dealing with missing a few weeks with a shoulder injury. Guy can't stay healthy. So he has started dipping down. So you might be able to get a little bit of a value on Guerrero right now, as opposed to where he was going before. And you still might be able to get some of that Jordan James in there as well. Then we have different types of coach speak out there and manufacturing touches for a guy like DJ Moore. Well, if you're manufacturing touches for a guy like DJ Moore, that's a good thing, because DJ Moore does really well with manufactured touches. So if you're hearing news like this, I'm more willing to buy into certain players when certain pieces of information are given to us and we see, is this something that we can act on? Is it something that will affect ADP value? Is it something that will make players rise up? And, and this is especially prevalent with the news that we got about Quinshon Judkins a few weeks ago. You start to see now Dylan Sampson's ADP climbing up almost into that 122 range where he wasn't at before. And so in certain tournaments that are starting now, you don't have to worry about not getting that value on a guy like Dylan Sampson. But in tournaments that have been around for a bit, like the Eliminator, like Weekly Winners, like Best Ball Mania, you aren't getting the same value. So do you want to take the same player but not get the same value as somebody else? So we are waiting for Joe to come back. Magic, do I like Harvey or Henderson more in PPR? So I have a couple viewpoints on this. One, I do think Harvey is going to play. I did draft him in my Scott Fishbowl team. I do think he's going to play. I do think that he is going to get a decent amount of looks later on in the season. We're looking at probably like week 6, week 7 onward. I think you're going to see a good amount of space for Harvey there. Now, as it goes to Henderson, I think that Henderson is going to have a significant impact on the Patriots organization. Now, he might also get worked in, but Ramondre Stevenson
Bob, can I pause you right
isn't
there?
that good. We know that.
Bob, let me pause you real quick. We're going to do our live on our Eliminator at 4:02 Eastern. Jump in the Eliminator at 4:02 Eastern. Bob, back to you.
So when we look at guys like Harvey, we know that Dobbins is a good enough player. And we know that Dobbins is capable of a good burst, capable of getting out in the open, and capable of making things happen. We know that Ramondre Stevenson hasn't shown that in the last 2 years. So if Henderson does show that, he's probably going to take on more of a significant role earlier in the season. With a guy like Harvey is going to have to look good and continue to look good because he is the future of this running game, not J.K. Dobbins. So when we look at what's going to put Harvey in probably above Dobbins, well, you could see Dobbins either getting hurt or a decent, thinking about coaches, Peyton drafted Harvey, wants him to play, also went out there and got Dobbins. So he sees them both as legitimate contenders. So if they're going to be a good, say that again, Joe?
Jump in.
If they're going to be a good team, there's reason to believe that both of them are going to get a good amount of touches. For me, I do think that I would be more willing to take chances on Henderson at his ADP than on Harvey at his ADP. And that's just really something to think about when you look at ADP. So, looking at the ADPs right now of those two specific players here in the best ball format, not necessarily in redraft, because I think their prices are going to be very different in redraft. Trevion in the eliminator has an ADP of 55. RJ Harvey's right around 58. So the outcomes that people are predicting for these two players are pretty much the same kind of outcomes. Say that again.
Throughout Pittsburgh here, I have no idea what's happening, but the internet is fluctuating like citywide. So it's just a thing.
You're having an issue.
We're all having issues here, man. But I got the 8th seed, and I love it. Where are you at?
I've got 50. I've got 5.
Any of our watchers here in the episode with us? We know we got a bunch of you guys watching right now. Any of you guys in this one with us as well?
And so then here's some other things, Joe. Here's some other things to think about. I probably wouldn't do that. I would. So I have begun to consider CMC if I want a running back and the big 3 are out and the big 3 are not on the board when I'm drafting. But if I have the option of taking CeeDee Lamb, if I have the option of taking Justin Jefferson, I probably will. However, if I only have one shot to get it right, and you want a player that has a high degree of upside, and you want a player that's going to be on a reliable enough offense, you got to consider this, is that, CMC is basically the only healthy person on the 49ers right now, which Kittle.
Is scary.
And so you look at it and you say, right now, drafting right now, if he's one of the only healthy people with George Kittle and Pearsall potentially, then there's going to be a lot of looks going his way. And there's no reason.
I get your point of looking at him at 1.5.
I get it.
That just feels crazy early, though. I mean, look at all the receiving talent.
Joe, his ADP has climbed from ADP of.
Oh no! I'm not saying you're going to get him if you don't take him at 1.5. He won't be around at 220. I get that, or 20 overall. But what I'm asking out loud is the team better with CMC and Ladd at 20, or is it better with, I don't know, CeeDee Lamb and then coming around getting a Bucky or a Jones?
Magic. I took CMC there for you just so we can see what we could build. So in an eliminator,
you got him to build this for you. You were so lucky.
We're gonna see what type of team. Again, eliminator is way different than Best Ball Mania, way different than redraft.
But eliminator is the closest to redraft there is.
Willing to take a dive and to see what's going to happen with a team like this, where CMC, he's not my favorite player right now, but I am willing to take a chance on him in a format like this. CMC is going to be bad if he's the only threat on the team, Darkside said. And I mean, he was the only threat on a team for a significant portion of his career in Carolina, and that turned out okay. So,
with some of the worst coaching. I mean, like Dave Rival Chicago.
He was younger, less injured, but younger, has gone through a little bit less of his career at that point in time. But I would say that if he's looking good in camp and he is a credible threat to be on the field for a significant portion of the season, you could see him turning in performances in the mid-20s. And I think a lot of people would be happy about that. I don't know if he has that 30-point upside anymore, but if you can get mid-20s out of him, I think most people would be satisfied with that in redraft, particularly in redraft. Yeah, I don't see. So CMC Achane in a mock really is, I feel almost unrealistic to a degree, Magic, because, if you're sitting at CMC, you can get CMC probably at an Achane at that 14 pick, but not otherwise. It's going to be quite hard to do. So we're gonna do Bowers here. No, we're gonna do AJ.
So I wanted to bring up something you said before in the notes right before my thing.
How's it going, Steve?
Did you say that Scadaboo has a torn groin?
No, not torn groin. He's just dealing with groin pain, I believe, or leg pain.
Okay. Your power as a running back comes from your groin. I get that every guy wants to say that, but it is a power running back like Scadaboo. It's actually true.
Pittman is dealing with
value. It's got to skyrocket.
Pittman is the one dealing with the groin injury. Scadaboo's dealing with the leg injury.
Still,
you know, I love this too, Joe. Is I'm looking at this right here. Omarion Hampton in the eliminator, because people want these running backs, goes 23. We were talking about this earlier in the offseason where Omarion Hampton, because Najee isn't playing right now, is going to skyrocket, and he has skyrocketed in the second round. This is insane.
I think Omarion started getting the neighborhood he should be. Chase Brown looks like he clearly held the job, and Chase Brown is a guy who's now skyrocketing up my boards because even though I don't like him, Cincinnati clearly does. He's going to produce. Chase Brown, now, like I said, now that I'm accepting it, is becoming a big value there.
Right.
But like I said, it's just the way it's looking at it.
Oh, man, I almost got Brock Bowers. That sucks. Oh, that sucks. That sucks. Almost had him. I was gonna go crazy if I would have got Brock Bowers in the third round, because that's exactly where I think his value should be. But damn, that was so close. So close. So in redraft, I could absolutely see Omarion Hampton being drafted at the top of the third round, end of the second round, in a really, if you run a really heavy RB league, then you could see him as high as pick 19, I think. But if you are in a standard league with 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, and a flex, he's probably going to continue to be at the low end of the third round, fourth round. But if you're in a 2 wide receiver league with a flex with 2 running backs, I see that as being a really good place for Omarion to be at the back end of the second, early third for most people. I wouldn't do it personally. I wouldn't take him that early. I think that second round, back end of second round, is a little bit too early for me when it comes to Omarion, because I do like Kyron a little bit more. And I think that the value of a guy like Chuba Hubbard or Ken Walker when you get lower is a little bit better. But I don't see it. I don't necessarily see an issue with it from a production standpoint, because again, we have said this before and we'll say it again. Najee is the guy that needs volume to continue to be good. It's not saying that he can't recover from this eye injury, but if Omarion Hampton stakes his claim in camp right now, then he's going to have the job primarily. And it's not going to be 60, it's not going to be 60-40 Najee to Omarion to start the season. It's probably going to be 60-40 Omarion to Najee, and then that's going to continue to go up as the season goes on, because
or at least maintain itself.
Yeah, I think in certain perspective I think that's really important to point out, that dichotomy there has totally shifted. That's
a good word that most people don't use enough, Bob.
It's completely flipped on its head, right? So I'm willing to I'm willing to buy into Omarion in the third or fourth round in the eliminator, but not so much in the second round. I think that there's some. I don't think I'm willing to get there right yet. Man, Devonta Smith with his back injury is really affecting where his ADP could be.
I don't know if you can take him.
What?
I don't know if you can take him. I think that's got to be a major step forward for Goddard. Those two already basically fought each other all the time for the same targets.
Yeah.
I think it's a major bump to Goddard. I'm going to put him on my short list.
You're putting Goddard on your short list?
I am. He's a guy that I rarely take, but that injury news you got to factor in.
Yeah, I think you do. And I think right here, Joe, expects Benson to take more snaps. We've been saying this a little bit about Connor over the course of the offseason, is that at the right price, I'm willing to buy into Connor. Although I do think, and many of us, in the chat too, probably believe that Benson is going to get a significant look this season. But James Conner in the 5th round, especially in a tournament like this in the eliminator, where they're probably going to continue to roll him out early and often as possible, I'm willing to take a gamble on it. This team from the pick 5 is not one of my favorite teams that I've constructed. However, I think it's got good potential to move out of the 1st round.
Yeah, hey, Bob, let me ask you your question here. Let me redirect your Connor question a little bit differently. For you guys who don't know, we do a auction league, and we do independent defensive player. And the way that we do it is one player on offense you can keep for free, one player on defense you can keep for free, and then one of anywhere you can keep for 125% of what you spent on last year. We do that essentially to keep the thing moving. I get Connor for less than 20. I think I'm going to take him over spending 60 on Collins.
Yeah, I think you could get Collins cheaper the day.
Yeah, I think I can, but I don't think I get Connor for less than 20.
I think he'll go in the auction for like 45, maybe 50.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so I think Connor for 20 is a win.
I mean, my big question is Bucky, Saquon, and Bijan. I mean, keeping two, do I keep Saquon and
check somewhere?
Do I keep Saquon and Bijan, or do I keep Bucky and push? It's all a matter of
all with the hips, baby.
Seeing what's going to happen there. So let's answer this question here. So Magic, I do think that with Zach Moss gone, that has kind of flipped the script for most people when it comes to a player like Chase Brown, is that people did think that Chase Brown and even to a lesser degree Taj Brooks too. We've been taking Taj Brooks a little bit later as well, but guys like Taj Brooks, guys like Zach Moss, guys like Samaje Perine could eat into Chase Brown's time. It doesn't look like that's going to happen. And so, a guy like Chase Brown will be probably in a very elite situation coming up this season. That offense is going to consistently be on the field. He's proven that he could get outside. He's proven that he can make plays. I'm willing to take a chance on him. Especially when he's in the 2nd round, back into the 2nd round. Sometimes you can get him in the 3rd round. I could see, if he has a good offseason, I could see him climbing above JT, to be honest with you, because there is more room on the Bengals offense to continue to be successful than there is on the Colts offense to be successful. I can absolutely see people if they only had one chance at it, I can absolutely see people taking more chances on Chase Brown than on
that's Steve. That's what I was trying to say here at the beginning, is that I was very skeptical in the process building up to training camp about Chase Brown. And the reason is, if you had a pure Madden draft, raw talent, the guy's not in the top 32. Chase Brown isn't. But his situation is immaculate. They don't play defense. They don't try to play defense, and he's a pass catcher. He's going to be a top 10 running back. I don't think I'd take him above A-Chain or Genty, but he's certainly a guy that I would want to look into.
At pick 6, Steve, and I'd want to know a little bit more about your format to really kind of move into this. I do not like Ashton Genty's schedule for a running back. It is not a good situation as a running back. Now, running backs have overcome strength of schedule differences before, but it is not, by no means is this a blessing of a schedule for
the biggest problem the Raiders have is their defense isn't good enough to give them enough leads to close out games. He has a running coach. That's good and going for him, but yeah.
So for me, but also on the flip side of things, Steve, we've talked at length about Achane, and whether it's a red herring or not that they're going to give Madison more work. What I think about Achane and when I think about Genty is that Genty is a workhorse. He is built like a workhorse. Achane is not. So what you're going to get, you have two variably different players that can have the same ceiling on a week-to-week basis, but they're going to do it in different ways. So Genty is going to do it most likely by having 20, 22 rushes a game, plus some work out of the backfield. What's up, Bones? Plus some work out of the backfield. Achane is primarily going to get his looks on the outside and in the passing game. So which format is it? Is it PPR, half PPR, etc.? Because that's important. That's really important to keep in mind. I would be on Achane over Genty, but different strokes for different folks. Let me make this pick, and then we can get to the next question. See Joe Mixon plummeting as well because of that. He might not even play.
Yeah, well, that was a concern with Mixon for a while now.
What round are we even in here? 8. Okay. So this is around the time Bo Nix will go. Yeah, I'm not sure. Like J.K. Dobbins right now in the 8th round. Just I clicked it, but that will not win me anything.
That'll get you out of week 1, although you already have a bunch of old running backs. So it's not going to help you that much. He's not going to outscore Connor or Kamara.
He could end up in the flex.
He could. I mean, you did take a Chicago receiver, so you basically burnt that spot.
And like looking at the board right now, there is just a bunch of hurt and old players.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie. When I had that pick for Warren, my cue was Warren, Tracy, and Downs. And I was thinking I was going to get 2 of the 3. To only come out with one of them makes me a little bit sad. And, man, my list is just getting pummeled.
It's a little disappointing, huh?
It is. It is. Coleman's one of these guys I like. I really think he's undervalued.
I mean, I'm a little shocked. I'm a little shocked that TJ Hawkinson is still on the board.
Yeah, that's good value.
I know Addison might not play, but if Addison week 1, but if Addison plays the rest of the weeks, I think I'll be fine. The other guy on my list was Andrews there. So it really depends on the situation. Half point PPR, I'm probably still going to take Achane, but it's a little bit closer. Stafford has been dealing with a back injury, right? Sounds pretty concerning. He has been. All the news has said that they're giving him rest and they're making sure that he has, what he needs to rest. And so it's not like he's not the best for health anyway.
No,
he's making good progress. The news is that he's scheduled to work out, but he's 37 years old, and I do have a concern there when it comes to Puka and when it comes to Devontae Adams, and I think the board reflects the concern enough for Devontae Adams and for Puka. But if Stafford plays, he will make his wide receivers elite. So if you are drafting in the next couple of weeks, this news for Stafford is very important to keep your eyes on. So if you are only drafting one team or you're in a redraft league and you need Puka or Devontae Adams to perform, I think you do need Stafford to be healthy because I don't think,
obviously.
I think Jimmy G's on their roster, so I think that that could be good-ish. But again, the health
of G is the Tanks Bigsby of quarterbacks. Everyone wants him to be a thing, but we all really know he ain't.
Man, I love Tank. I love me some smack talk on Tanks Bigsby. I love some smack talk everywhere else as well. I mean, it's perfect. Just absolutely.
This is America, baby. Bring it or go home.
So I think it's something to keep your eye on. I haven't heard anything from any other sources or anything that you haven't, but to say that it isn't a concern, it is a concern. And I have been pumping the brakes on selecting Puka to the high degree that I had been in some of these best ball tournaments, just to kind of build in a little bit of, cushion if something like that happens. Mr. Wumbo, don't have to worry about Zach Moss stealing touches from him and getting 2 yards of carry like he's the second coming of ETN. Travis Etienne is also a player that I probably haven't drafted much of at all. The news, they love Tank Bigsby there. Tank Bigsby is the darling of camp there. And I think that where ETN has to be drafted for you to get ETN, it's really not worth drafting him. Here in the 10th round, I'd rather take a chance maybe on Higgins, Shaheed, or Bateman. There goes Tank Bigsby in the 10th round. I mean, typically he drops a little bit more. So, it's an interesting situation where he didn't drop to the capacity that, most people would have thought he would have dropped. All right. I'm going to take a chance here. Or here.
The beast is back, baby. I love that.
Man, Ray Davis just went. Ray Davis's touches. I want to get on Ray Davis because I've been listening to a couple of things, and he has some interesting stats on him. Shot right. So a bunch of my players just went.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah. I know Mooney's not going to play week 1, but if I can get past week 1 with this team, I think that he'll be a great value 20 picks after. So when I look at the best running back strength of schedule, when you look at right now, the top strength of schedule for running backs, and again, this is according to Fantasy Pros, it is Cleveland, Atlanta, Buffalo, Cincinnati, and Baltimore. Those running back groupings have the best rated strength of schedule for their grouping. And there are some other resources that you can look at to see which one you like best. But again, if you have Chase Brown basically in the top 5 of, if you compare, and this is why I say this, if you compare Bijan with Chase Brown at the pick 4 overall, and you have, again, strength of schedule can mean nothing once they're on the field. The defenses can play completely different. We all know that.
Like this year, the Jets' run defense is going to start off so much worse than it finished because Williams is hurt.
If you can pair Bijan and Chase Brown in the first 2 rounds, you might be getting, initially speaking, you will probably roll through your first 5 weeks of the season.
Yeah. And then those are the kinds of people, especially Chase Brown, where you can trade him later and get a massive haul on him. And that's the kind of things that work.
Yeah. And so, for Steve's question, he's got pick 6. Bones suggested going after a wide receiver and take the running back in the second.
That's my argument too, Bones.
It's smart because you just saw me here, guys. Pick 5. We went with a situation where take CMC. What kind of team can we build? And as we look at it, the wide receiver room isn't super strong. The running back room, I'm not a fan of what this team is. It has potential, but I'm definitely not a fan of what this team is right now. I didn't realize that I didn't have a quarterback, Joe.
Bro.
But
how'd you not know that?
So I was talking.
So I don't need to get a second one. I mean, I need to because I'll need it for week 9, but I don't need to focus on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just picked up Penix. I think Penix will be fine. I like Penix a lot. I'm probably going to double dip on quarterback right here, though. I mean, they kind of just flew off the board at one point in time.
Yeah, they did.
I caught the falling value of Mooney, and that's where I was probably going to take Jordan. That's where I was going to take Jordan Love. Oh, there goes Bryce Young, so I can't take him. All right, that's fine. Do that what it will. I'll take King Ward. Why not? All right, yeah. So all right. So thinking about if Gibbs falls to 6, it would be nice. He won't fall to 6. He usually will be taken right around pick 4. I have seen in certain tournaments, depending on the layout of the tournament, that he goes all the way to 8, but in redraft, he absolutely won't go past 4. He won't go past 4. Yeah, Mwumbo. Again, this is not a delightful team that I'm building right now, but here is kind of where my perspective is as I build this team, right? McCaffrey, Kamara, Connor, and Dobbins. It's a bunch of players that have been in the league for a while. I'm looking to progress and to continue to progress through week 5. Okay. So once I get to week 5, maybe I'm looking like in these last couple of rounds here to pick up some rookie running backs that I think will hit after week 5. And if I could pull up a couple of those backs, I will be, I think, fine. Wide receiver room, it's definitely one that's not pretty, but on a week-to-week basis, these guys will earn targets when they're on the field. So if they can outperform the targets that they have, I think that it's a team that could progress decently far in this type of tournament. Again, not something that I'm excited about with this team, but it's one that I think they could definitely get in there. Dude, King, I was watching last night, and I was like, I'm sick of having Cody Rhodes and John Cena just standing in the ring, giving themselves curtain calls. And then when Brock Lesnar came back, dog, it was a sight. Nobody. I mean, because he's dealing with all the fallout with, with the legal troubles. It's one of those things where you're just like, okay, why is he there? What are they planning? But it was really cool to see him back. He's one of my favorite performers. We're talking about wrestling there, and the tables, ladders, and chairs match was insane too. Dude, what a sight! What a moment! What a moment! So who are some guys that I would bet my life savings on to smash their ADP? Bucky Irving.
Yes, I mean, Bucky's a certain point on that.
Easy.
I put Collins on it too because he's going way too late. I think he could be a top 3 producer.
So Bucky in the second round absolutely could smash into the top 6 guys, top 6 of running backs overall. Could be running back 1 overall.
Could be.
Another guy that I think will outperform his ADP if the quarterback is healthy is Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams, if everything goes right with Matt Stafford, that will be an absolute elite option. And I don't.
In terms of later guys for you, Cedric Tillman's one of my dudes. You see me draft him all the time. He's going to be a bright spot in garbage time. Buy it.
He could be for sure. Another guy. Let me make this pick here first before I put out somebody else here.
I think Richardson has a chance. I mean, I know that Richardson is an all or nothing player, and he's got a lot of energy around him.
A guy I just drafted. So a guy I just drafted, Magic, Mason Taylor. I know he just got nicked with an ankle injury, but I think he will outperform his ADP by leaps and bounds. You consider that the second best option in this Jets offense in the pass game is Breece Hall, and their second official wide receiver is going to be Josh Reynolds. There is a stake to claim a lot of targets. Whether they're good targets, that's going to be up in the air. But there is a space for him to claim a good amount of targets. And I absolutely would think that Mason Taylor is going to smash this ADP in the 15th round. That's just a couple of guys, not all of them. But, you have some other players like DJ Moore that I think will way outperform his ADP. Will I risk my life saving? No. And I also think Jalen Waddle is a good buy at his ADP. Considering everybody wanted to get down on Tyreek Hill, why not be up on a guy that could definitely outperform? So, I'm willing to buy into that for sure. Braylon Allen going in the range trade, Davis, Tank, Bigsby. Yeah. I mean, all three of those guys, if they get a good percentage of work, their metrics are good enough that they are going to be super fantasy relevant this year. And you're getting them so low. That's why I really don't have a problem in the mid rounds. Especially in a tournament like this, if you've built up your wide receivers early enough, which I didn't do in this version of in this draft, if you build up your wide receivers early enough, you will have a good you'll do really well if you ping some of those middle round guys like that, like Ray Davis and Tanks Bigsby. But you have to be willing to kind of gamble a little bit and decide which one do you actually want, because you might not be able to get more than one of them, because they're a hot commodity right now, because the news from camp, like they're looking really good. So they're a really hot commodity, and you probably don't want to risk too much.
Why did you go Crosby Merritt instead of Shipley?
Instead of Shipley, so Brian Robinson Jr. is not a super good running back. Okay?
That's fair.
Austin Eckler is old.
Yeah, Eckler's basically not in the picture. This basically is a question about if Saquon goes down like we don't think he is, wouldn't Shipley give you better value?
Well, the news from camp is that AJ Dillon is staking a claim. Now, will he? Who knows, right? But with that news that he has a chance to take on a significant role in the offense if Saquon were to go down, Shipley isn't that de facto guy that we thought.
Shipley's built more like the scat back that Saquon is. And Dillon's more of a power back type guy. Do like the Taj Brooks pickup, man, especially now with Moss getting cut. Taj Brooks should be going 7 rounds higher. I mean, Taj Brooks should be going up there with Dylan Sampson.
I don't think 7 rounds, but I mean, like, Jadon Blue's Jadon Blue's another one of those guys, Joe, where, the initial news out of camp was that he was lazy. And I think that they did that to just fire his ass up, because people were saying he looks really good. All the news outlets are saying he looks great. And so the Blue bus is back on, and you can see how that's affected in this draft, where Blue's going a little bit higher than he typically might. So it's a little, I think buying him when we bought him was pretty smart. Will I be watching tonight's Raw, King? No, I don't have cable, so I can't watch Raw unless I stream it from TikTok or something like that. But all hell could break loose, with the tables, ladders, and chairs match that happened I think you're probably going to see a decent amount of stuff from the women's championship matches, because there's no love lost between Sky, Ripley, and Naomi, with Cargill also losing. So I think that's going to be pretty interesting. And with Gunther losing too, I did not think Gunther was going to lose. But when Seth Rollins cashed on CM Punk after that, boy, that was wild. Yeah, so Joe, I want
to give you a sleeper that I've been drafting a lot. I know that the regulars already know this, but Luke McCaffrey in Washington is poised for an explosion. First off, sophomore jump. Second, he's going to play through everything just like his brother does. And the 2 receivers in front of him both had question marks. Like, Debo is a perpetual question mark. And we've seen receivers go into contract negotiations and miss training camp that can kind of hang out to dry. Now, don't get me wrong, McCaffrey's or Scary Terry's on my roster. So I don't believe it's going to be an issue. But there is a lot of potential for someone you can get in the 18th round who can be about receiver number 30. And that shouldn't exist. That is a great sleeper to look for.
Yeah, I mean, he's not someone that pings everybody's radar, because they drafted Jalen Lane as well. But again, here's how I view this. If you think that Jaden Daniels is going to have a top 3 finish in fantasy this year, that is either going to come with like 800 yards rushing and 6 touchdowns plus 22 to 25 passing touchdowns. Who's going to catch those touchdowns? You look at it and you say, okay, well, Terry McLaurin is probably poised, if he plays, to get 8 to 11. Mm-hmm. Then you have Zach Ertz slated probably for about 6-ish. And then you have some room for Debo and Luke McCaffrey in there as well. You have room for the running backs too. Now, if Jane Daniels uses less of his legs, and
we're gonna start up the new one at 4:40 Eastern,
and that becomes 30-ish touchdowns passing, or 32 touchdowns passing instead of the rushing touchdowns. Terry McLaurin is not going to catch 15 touchdown passes. Debo Samuel's not going to do that either. So, like, there is room. And we saw, because of injuries and things, we saw that the Commanders will utilize their third wide receiver. So, if it is in fact that McLaurin doesn't play or doesn't come, doesn't do what they want him to do in terms of the contract situation, you can easily see a pathway for Lane or McCaffrey to get targets. I mean, it'll be. I think as a 20th round pick goes, Joe, it's not a bad one. It really isn't. I was in a draft yesterday where he was actually drafted in the 16th round.
Well, this is the 18th for this, so
yeah, but you get what I'm saying, like a last round.
No, I think he's worth it all the way around. So, Bob, we have about 3 minutes here. We're gonna start at 4:40 Eastern. Looking at this, guys, who do you think? What are the 16s getting out of this first round?
So, Ryan, I would do that trade. So Joe just asked, what 6 teams from this draft will specifically make it out. It's hard to tell from the first couple of, from the first 6 rounds, but I think that there's I think anybody that went double running back is off to a really good chance, or at least running back in the first 2 running backs in the first 4 rounds has a chance to make it out of the first round. Because again, you want running backs with a really high potential ceiling and a highish floor. The Henry Brown team, the Henry Chase Brown with Marvin Harrison, Pickens, and Metcalf definitely has a good pathway the first week of the season for sure. Derrick Henry and Chase Brown, like we said, are in top 5 strength of schedule to start the year. So that's going to be something to look at in this division. Ryan, I would. I don't see ETN right now as having much, if any, significant value this season specifically. Maybe they're hiding ETN. Maybe they're trying to hide ETN by giving Bigsby all of the hype and all of the news. But honestly speaking, I don't see, I was really high on ETN last year. He underperformed. He's a good player, but the fact is that there's so much logistics that can go wrong for him in the red zone. Like, they have Tank Bigsby, they have Bashal Tootin, they have BTJ now, they have Trevor Lawrence who will scramble if needed to.
They have a team that's adverse to scoring touchdowns.
So I'm not a big fan of ETN. Now, Olave, I really like Olave, but if I could just give up Olave for ETN right now, assuming this is a keeper league or a dynasty-ish team, I would move in for Kyren, because I do think even if Kyren doesn't get the extension that he wants or needs, if he were to sign with another team that is built similarly to the Rams, I think he could be successful. For him though, the problem is it's like he's not super efficient. So like if he goes to another team and that team has a terrible offensive line, you aren't going to get the same numbers that he's getting out of this offensive line with the Rams right now. Good player. I would do the trade, and I think Joe would do it too.
I want really Kyren. Out of that group, I'd want Kyren.
We don't really trust ETN right now, and when you look at it from a pick standpoint, you're looking at like Olave in like the 6th round, ETN in the 10th round for a guy that you're drafting in the 3rd or 4th round.
I also believe in building your running backs as the foundation of your team is a key to victory in redraft.
I would want Kyren. I would want Kyren if I was gonna go into anything.
All right, guys, 5 slots open in the eliminator underdog. We got enough people watching. We can fill this up right now. Who's jumping in?
But yeah, Joe, the when we look at the schedule to start the year, we're looking at like teams that have really good beginning of the year schedules. Arizona is popping off right off the rip, like New Orleans, Carolina, San Francisco, Seattle, Tennessee, Indy.
New Orleans has an incredibly easy schedule, but none of the market feels that they can do anything. New Orleans is one of these teams I like betting on. They're over.
They don't know who the quarterback's going to be yet. That's the issue.
We absolutely know who their quarterback's going to be. It's a 2nd round pick. It is
Yeah.
as much as I love the Gatling gun. It ain't gonna be him.
The Rattler.
The Rattling gun ain't doing it, man.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just going over a couple of like, because again, this eliminator starts paying out in week 14. So you can make it to week 14.
You know that's true, Bob. It's paying out. The finals is 17, and there's only 3 people. It starts paying out big in week 14. That's where the 10K comes in. You make your profit around like week 6.
But what I'm trying to say is that like
the big money kicks in week 14.
You can build this in a couple different sections, right? You can take it like if you do, if you take a look at the board and you say, okay, I'm going to chunk it into groups of 5, right? Or groups of 4 games. Who has the best sample size games in the first 5 weeks? Who has it in the next 5 weeks? Who has it in the next 5 weeks after that?
How we build our standings. We just focus it on specific weeks more than others. Eliminator's got a more rounded breakdown.
Wumbo, I love that name, the Crappler. The Crappler throwing dirt balls. I mean, hey, they say he looks good. I mean, everybody's looking okay, except for Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb is the only player that's not looking good.
Oh, third pick. I don't like the third pick.
What pick did I get? I had to 2. So we're 2-3. Go screw it. Well, you know what I'm doing.
Hate the third pick.
Well, the third pick. You kind of feel like you're getting scraps, good scraps. Like this is like eating at the best restaurant in town, and then somebody giving you a doggy bag from the best restaurant in town. Yeah, I mean, you're still getting good options. It's not like you're getting bad options, but it's something that you kind of are disappointed in. Richardson versus Rattler, the mid-off we need to see in 2025. When is that potentially going to happen? That could potentially happen not this season. Unfortunately, they don't play Indy. Oh, damn. That would have been exciting, though. Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson versus Spencer Rattler. That could have been like the best of dog shit. Also, Joe, competitively speaking, you look at a team like Chicago, this game against Minnesota, Detroit, Dallas, and Vegas, they're going to have to pass the ball a lot to win those games. So it could be a good idea in the first couple of weeks of the season, if you're an eliminator here, taking Chicago pass catching options and then building something. And then, they have competitive games week 6 and week 8 as well against Washington and Baltimore. And then again against Cincinnati week 9. So pass catching options through week 9 for Chicago could be a really, 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 really good option. Again, Atlanta as well. If you can build in some of those Atlanta pass catchers and Bijan, Tampa, Minnesota, Carolina, Washington, bye week, Buffalo, San Francisco, Miami, New England, will get you to week 10 if everything goes according to plan. I'm probably staying away from Chargers players if I don't have a strong front half of the season with Kansas City, Vegas, Denver, and the Giants on the schedule for the Chargers. So that's the other reason why I'd probably fade Hampton in a tournament like Eliminator in the second round, because that schedule at the beginning of the year does not truly favor running backs from that team. So, looking at it from that perspective, I think is important.
It is.
Also taking a look at Denver. Denver plays Tennessee, Indy, Chargers, Cincinnati, Philly, Jets the first 6 weeks of the season. Cortland Sutton, RJ Harvey, J.K. Dobbins, all good buys. At the beginning of the season there are going to be some fairly competitive games, fairly non-competitive games in some of these potentially. I think that will be something to kind of look for in this draft specifically. See, I told you Chase Brown, pick 18 or pick 15.
Yeah, no, I get it. I don't think you should be going that high, but I can justify it. I get it.
It's going to happen. You're going to see by the end of this month, Joe, you are going to see Chase Brown at the back end of the first round.
Yeah, you probably are.
Chalk it up. There are enough degenerates out there that will do that. Trying to get their percentages. Shit. Come on. I want to do this again.
Do it again, Bob.
Come on. Ugh. Hate that. Bye, guys. Bye.
Don't you hate me? I'm the one who got stuck in the 3rd. I'd way rather be drafting at 8 this year.
Yeah, no, I'm saying I didn't want to take AJ Brown again.
Then don't. You just hate Higgins.
I don't hate Higgins. By any stretch of the
you hate Higgins.
No, I don't. I just don't want Higgins as the top wide receiver on my team. If you catch what I'm putting down.
I'm totally catching it.
All right, what do I want here? Yeah, I'm gonna fade him probably. Hey, Tyreek says he's healthy. Tyreek's healthy. Come on, boys. Come on.
No, he's not. Tyreek will lie until he's in the
Tyreek
ground.
says he's healthy. Tyreek says he's healthy. It's a good schedule.
Tyreek is the most unreliable source about Tyreek.
But, I can't say that you're wrong about that.
I know you can't.
Because he's told himself that he's been healthy a bunch of times. But they have a good enough schedule to us healthy. So I do think, though, Joe, that Brock Bowers in the last one we did fell to the 3rd round. Value like that is crazy because you're going to not see, if that team ends up making it, you are not going to see many teams with the draft capital like that team had. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, no, I get it.
That value is crazy good on a guy like Brock Bowers in the 3rd round. That was not going to happen. You're really not going to see that again. And that's kind of why, even though I'm worried about AJ Brown's injury with the hamstring, it's why I'm buying AJ Brown in this tournament, though. Like I said, I really don't want to, but that's why I'm buying him, because typically speaking, he isn't going to be going this late again unless the injury is more significant. You get what I'm saying? So
I totally get what you're saying.
Unless it's deemed that he is a no-go for week 1, then he drops even further. But if he is, you're now battling with teams that can't get that same combination as you. There are going to be not a lot of teams with a Bijan AJ Brown combination. But plenty with a Bijan T Higgins combination. You get what I'm saying? It's and I see so many of Jamar and T together all the time. It happens all the time. So 4 quarterbacks go in there in the 3rd round,
which is pretty much what eliminator does.
Not unusual. I think. It's terrible to say, but he's probably speed running it. He will not wear that helmet. He's too cool for that helmet. That's the problem. He's way too cool for that helmet. Doesn't want to touch it. Doesn't want to see it. You won't see him in that helmet, I don't think, ever.
Who's that?
Tua. He will not wear that helmet. The Guardian
no
helmet.
Concussion helmet?
Yeah. Yeah,
No,
he won't wear the Guardian helmet. You won't see him in that at all. And then there you go. This guy capitalizing on more value, getting Jackson Smith, a couple picks after ADP there.
I'm not sure I love his team though.
Yeah, but all things considered, that it's, again, you might not like the team per se with Marv and JSN and
Dude, you took another Chicago receiver. Why you keep lighting your money on fire, dude?
Dude, I love DJ Moore. You know that.
Cortland Sutton is such a better buy. Scary Terry was on the board.
He might still be. There he is. Boom. Done. So, again, taking a chance. I wasn't going to get DJ Moore on the comeback, that's for sure. Terry McLaurin buying into the falling value that he may or may not play. AJ Brown, Tyreek Hill, DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin. Come on, man. Come on. Solid. That's a solid team right there. He probably doesn't even know, Wumbo, if his mind has changed or not, because it's so banged up and rattled about in there. you could draft the all concussion team, take Michael Wilson, Chris Olave, Tua. I might end up with Tua on this team too. I might end up with Tua.
If Olave's here on this next pick, I'm taking him. I can tell you that.
He probably will be. Pick 65. People don't really like him.
Pick 65 is pretty much his ADP.
Yeah, but they have an aversion to taking him, is what I'm saying. They would rather take Judy over him in some respects.
Yeah, I got a cluster of 3 that I like for this upcoming pick. We'll see who comes.
I've got to take a look at schedule for running backs. Steelers, okay, that's not like the best. So unlike last time, my running backs were solid. Now I'm trying to search for some value here. And you see here, Devonta with that back injury falling. People getting a little bit more nervous about that. Probably the Jalen Hurts owner will definitely buy him on this comeback here. If he doesn't, wow, I'm a little shocked by that.
Well, there's no way he's falling to me.
Eliminator, people don't like stacking in the Eliminator because, again,
I don't get that. I don't agree with that. If you can stack, you stack.
Last week, we talked about this where people don't want to do it because they're a little bit nervous that if the team has a bad week, they're going to be out.
I understand that part of it, but that's why you have 18 players on your roster.
I mean, you just gave Brian Thomas Jr., Devontae Adams, Jameson Williams, and Devonta Smith. All of those guys can put up 20-plus point weeks.
They can. They also can all fall apart. He's building a ceiling team in the Eliminator. And I believe you should build a floor team. And if you look at my guys, I know I'm getting 10 targets out of all of my receivers, and my running backs are getting the ball handed to them like crazy. And there went literally every single person I wanted.
When
in doubt, go to a team that does the same rinse and repeat always. The Steelers will run the ball.
I thought you were taking Jacoby. I thought for sure you were taking Jacoby.
I think they're becoming a running team.
I'm not going to scoff at Jacoby there, to be honest with you.
Well, I get it. I'm not saying you should.
There goes Pacheco. I see. I really don't know what I'm. I think that I'm going to take Aaron Jones here. People don't like Aaron Jones. People like Mason. I get it. Mason looks electric when he's on the field. Jones is an old man, but Jones never got goal line work anyway. Let's just write it for what it is. Let's be real about it. Aaron Jones is who he is. Would I draft him in redraft? Absolutely not. But I know what I'm getting out of him in a tournament like this, so I'm willing to kind of bite the bullet on that, to be honest with you. Second running back, not a blessing, but not a curse either.
You do have a really good receiving room, though, Bob. You do got that going for you.
Yeah, like I said, it's the exact opposite of what I built last time.
Mine's much more balanced. Like, I don't feel like I got to chase anymore. Last one I was chasing.
You were chasing quite a bit, and that's fine. I mean, some teams you are going to chase more than others.
Well, it's just part of the build.
Yeah, but I just think being aware of what's on the board, what you can get. Like I've drafted so many teams where, like, we've said this before, where being flexible is super important.
Oh, yeah.
If you're not flexible, I think that you are putting yourself into a hole. Like if you go here a running back like I did, it kind of earmarks some of these positions right here where you could be getting some wide receiver value for running backs. And you kind of want to be aware of when those running backs will go, because you might even take a running back a bit earlier than the ADP dictates, because you know that coming back on your next pick, you're not even going to have a chance at them.
Yeah, so let's do a little manipulation of the guy on the turn. That's one of the parts of being in the second and third pick. He's got 3 starting receivers, 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs. So he really can go any direction right now. He put himself in a spot where he can't get manipulated. You, on the other hand, Bob, you need to take quarterback.
I don't need
and
to.
You probably need another running back.
I do need a running
I
back.
mean, you don't need to. But if you wait till the 10th round, it's going to be pretty well depleted.
Well, I need to take a quarterback.
In one of these 4 picks.
I'm going to take a quarterback. I'm going to take a quarterback now, or I'm going to take a quarterback my second
at 9.
Yeah, at 9.
Yeah, you shouldn't do it your first one because that guy has 2 quarterbacks. You wouldn't take your positional advantage.
I mean, I could take 2 quarterbacks here also. If
only if you're taking 2 quarterbacks do you take one in the 8th round and the 9th. And this is basically just a little teaching moment for how to exploit the guy in the end. As I'll be doing my live draft from the 1 hole, I will be getting exploited by the guy at the end. Oh, I love it. You know he wants the Lamar Andrews connection, and you say no. That's what I'm talking about.
It's been happening to me so many times.
What I'm talking about.
So the question here is, what quarterback do I take? Do we go Bo Nix or Caleb Williams?
I mean, you know I'm not picking Chicago.
But I do have DJ Moore.
Yeah, that was a mistake. Yeah, at least it's a stack.
I do have DJ Moore.
Yeah. Get the guy's going to lead the league in sacks. He can break records. Most sacks in the first 2 years of his season.
I'm going to take Bo.
Good call.
I think that Caleb Williams might fall a little bit more.
Going to. No, you mean fall in this draft. I mean fall in real life. Like
no, I think
he is positioned for short.
I think he might fall a little bit more in this draft. I'm willing to kind of just take a chance. If he doesn't, then he doesn't. I wasn't expecting to build Bo Nix there, but I didn't think Bo Nix would be available there. So, I'm willing to take some chances.
Yeah, Bo Nix definitely would not be back on your next turn.
With drafting Jameson Williams, you have to worry about his bye plus the 4+ games he'll be suspended for doing something dumb. Absolutely.
That's right. That's 100%
right. But honestly, that's built into his ADP.
It is. Kind of. It's not fully baked in. It's partially baked.
It's baked in. It's. I see what you did there.
I know you did.
That was hilarious. Way to go. One of the downsides of drafting is I don't feel like I have flexibility with certain things, like with QB. So there goes Caleb. Like with QB, if I don't get a top 2 or 3 QB, I immediately wait to be the last team to take QB. So in best ball, probably not. But in redraft, I have seen league mates of mine, and I've been in many mock drafts where that's a falling value on Kelsey. That's a good falling value on Kelsey. I
don't think you want it.
I have seen enough people in terms of this comment here, Wumbo. I have seen enough people waiting most years. So if you think about it like this, you are in a 12-team league, and you are in a 1 quarterback 12-team league. Yeah. Rarely are people lining up to take 2 quarterbacks unless the quarterbacks fall to them. Okay. So rarely is that going to happen. So keeping that in mind, damn, I wanted Evan Ingram too. Keeping that in mind, it isn't bad to wait for QB 10, because when you after I make this pick here, or even before that, we just take a look at QB 10, Lamar, or QB 12, Lamar, Allen, Daniels, Hurts, Joe Burrow, Kyler Murray, Patrick Mahomes, Baker Mayfield, Brock Purdy, Justin Fields. And QB 12 in a 12 QB league is going to be like Bo Nix or Drake May.
Yeah, so, it's a great strategy, because if you look at a lot of the guys above him, Burrow has a much larger chance of being underperforming than meeting expectations. The top 4 are set, but everyone between Burrow and Bo, I mean, they're going to be in that roulette. I mean, I have a little bit more confidence in Murray or in Baker of the group, but that's about it. I mean, the rest of them are all going to be like, Dak can give you a week where he's the number 2 quarterback and then be 15 tomorrow. And this whole tier, Goff can do that. Herbert can do it. So I completely agree with that strategy, but Wumbo, I'm on team, give me one of the elite ones where I know I'm getting a top 5 quarterback every single week. And that's what you get with Allen, Lamar, and Hurts. To me, those are the 3. But if you don't get one of those 3, don't worry about it.
But here's the thing, though, too, Joe, is that baked into the value is that so where there's positioning in a redraft league, right, is that usually speaking, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels, just whatever those top 3 or 4 are, especially because they're running in the most recent years, will most likely go off the board 3rd or 4th round. Probably 4th round in a redraft league because people know what their league mates do unless somebody early takes Josh Allen or early takes Lamar. You don't want to be the guy that like early takes them because you know by like round 6 or round 7 that you are going to be in a deficit, right? So like you sit there at round 6 and you're like, damn, I took Jalen Hurts early, but I still see Jordan Love sitting there in round 14. And I could have bought Hampton instead of Jalen Hurts, and I still got a chance at Jordan Love. You know, like these are all the things that you think about because in a 12-team league this year, most likely you're going to have people in redraft that are going to draft a backup quarterback, but they're going to do it much later. And if the backup quarterback is going to be guys like Jordan Love, Justin Herbert, JJ McCarthy, Caleb Williams, Dak Prescott, Jared Goff, and that's going to be QB2 for most people, but that could potentially be your QB1. I'm hoping that you made up value somewhere else on the board. But in
someone
a
of one of those
redraft,
qualities is going to do that. We've talked to him enough. One of those a good guy.
but I do believe that, you know, when you look at, you know, well, like you say, I never take into account how different 4 through 10 are from 11 through 16 for some reason, unless it's super obvious. I think that's important this year. But like I said, when you're looking at it, you're seeing Justin Fields and Bo Nix being the end of the top 10. And then everybody else after that, your Drake May, your Dak, your Caleb, your Herbert, your Goff, your Love, McCarthy, and Lawrence, there's probably 4 out of those 8 guys that you don't want to touch. The other 4 you probably do. You know, and it pays off when you've built the right team. Like I had a friend in a league who continually built Eli Manning. He said, I'm going to just hammer running backs early because it's a running back heavy league. Hammer running backs, hammer wide receivers. Screw all you guys, and I'm going to win with Eli Manning. And he would always make the playoffs. Always. So, like, if you've built the team in a way that, you know, accounts for that, right, then you'll be in a very good situation. If you don't, then it could be problematic. So there goes Tua. Who takes Tua there?
The quarterback run is nearly complete, Bob. We're almost out of them.
Who takes Tua there? I just don't understand. Like
I don't understand why you take 3 quarterbacks at all in this format.
I'm not dogging it, but like again, like give me Geno Smith like 2 rounds later. I'm okay with that. Trey Harris continues to drop. I mean, people are not. I mean, his looks are not getting well received in the slightest.
Well, they're about to sign Keenan Allen.
I heard that, and I'm willing. I have in a couple of tournaments taken Keenan Allen like as early as round 16, just to kind of like be like, whatever. And what will that do? Probably nothing at all. It probably won't turn into anything. But if it does turn into something, I am prepared for it.
I'm glad that you're prepared for it.
Go screw yourself, Jim. Come on.
Hey, I hate the fact we're next to each other. Hey, Blue's your boy too, man.
My boy Blue. I was gonna double dip. That's the problem. I was gonna double dip, and you didn't allow me to do the double dipping.
I didn't. I'm
not sad. I'm not like happy about that. But I am going to take a player that I haven't taken in the eliminator yet, hoping that I get a little bit more luck on the backside with another player that I want. I can take him. Damn it.
Benson's a good player.
So frustrating. That's who I had lined up. Oh, that is so frustrating. We'll take Bryce. But man, I had him lined up. For a couple of rounds now. But I was gonna take him. I thought about Braylon Allen for a minute, but think I'm going to wait a little bit more. I'm actually shocked by some people's ADP here. Yeah, and it's the same thing.
I took Tillman ahead of ADP, but Tillman I have rated as such a high player on my board. I almost always take him around early.
And Wumbo, for the same thing about tight end, you know, the needle for me, you know, typically speaking here is that when it comes to tight end, there are some metrics that like you can look at, but what I'm looking for out of a tight end is I need a tight end with touchdown upside, right?
Yep.
Like if you aren't an elite option, like a, you know, if you aren't receiving a high degree of the target share, let me look up something real quick. If you aren't receiving like a high degree of the target share, then it's really not something to kind of like invest in, right? So when we look at total targets of tight ends last year, and I mean some of these numbers are going to blow your minds, guys, like some of them. But let's take a look at it. So when we take a look at the tight end options right here, Joe, and we say, okay, can you name me the top 8 most targeted tight ends last year? And
all right. Let's play this game. This is a fun game. So I'm going to go with Bowers, McBride. Those two are pretty obvious.
All of them over 90 targets.
All right. Bowers, McBride, and Laporta.
Laporta is not in the top 10.
Yeah. Hawk got hurt, so he won't be in it. Evan Ingram's in it. Kelsey's probably in it.
It's not.
Oh, Ingram got hurt too. That's right. Part of this is just staying healthy. Andrews is probably in it by default. Njoku gets a lot of stuff formulated for him.
So I'm going to name them for you. You ready?
Yeah, give me it.
Bowers, 153. McBride, 147. Kelsey, 133. Jonnu, 111. Njoku, 97. Hunter Henry, 97. Kittle, 94. And Zach Ertz, 91.
That's why I think Hunter Henry is a great late tight end.
The next 3, and this is you're gonna be thrown for a loop with this one. These are the next 3: Cade Otton, Jake Ferguson, and Dalton Schultz.
Well, Ferguson makes sense because of the injuries, and there was no one else to throw the ball to.
Now, hold on. Now, just kind of cross-referencing that information, that data there. Hold on, let me make a pick before we do that. Hopefully, he's going to be on the board. All right, I can roll with that. Do I want 3 quarterbacks in the eliminator? No, not really.
No, I was going to take Richardson, and now here I am with that one.
Oh, did you take 3 quarterbacks?
No, I would have taken Richardson as my second. I don't have a second yet.
Take Gino.
I don't want Gino. I want Jonnu.
Or Stafford. All right. We'll get a little bit of a dirty stack there. Let's see what happens with it. Question is, how long can I wait? 189. He's not going to come back. Oh, that's
so we're in the 15th.
It's so cheap.
Got 4 picks left, Bob.
4
Line it up. Left. Feel happy about it.
All right. Well, I will go with him because. No, you know what? We're going to take my boy. All right. Yeah, I'm probably not leaving an eliminator without Mason Taylor in the most recent weeks. But okay, so taking a look at tight ends then, and taking a look at how those receptions and targets kind of like matched. Well, Bowers, McBride, Kelsey, Jonnu, Kittle, Ertz, Hunter Henry. And then you had Pat Freiermuth and Mike Gesicki. So those 2 guys, not in the top 10 of targets, but in the top 10 of receptions. So, you know, fairly efficient, right?
Gesicki's a good pick.
Then you have players, and you look at like the total fantasy points per game. And this is why I bring this up one, but we do this a lot when thinking about tight ends, is looking at fantasy points per game. And let's go to a full PPR and see how that changes things. So the top 4 in fantasy points per game last year were George Kittle, then McBride, then Bowers, All three of them had a plus 15 points per game. Njoku came in at 13.5 on the heels of Jameis Winston's big run. Jonnu was at 13.1. I'm going to ignore Taysom Hill. Travis Kelce at 12.2. Andrews at 11.1. And you say, well, like, why is Andrews' points per game so much higher? Well, I can get him 5-6 rounds later, but he was buoyed by 11 touchdowns, right? Mm-hmm. But also, he was still in the top 10 of yardage last year as well for a tight end. The 10th best tight end, Joe, or actually, there were only 7 tight ends, and all these stats, again, come from Fantasy Pros. There were only 7 tight ends that cracked 700 yards receiving last year. Okay?
Yeah.
And so there's a reason, and we've said this before, there's a reason why people want Brock Bowers, why people want Trey McBride, because they are imagining or working themselves into a conversation that if the touchdowns go up for Bowers, if the touchdowns go up for McBride, because Bowers was the 9th best tight end in terms of touchdowns. And guess who he was tied with, Joe? It's going to blow your mind.
I'm ready to just blow it, baby.
It's going to blow your mind. Hold on. I got to make a pick here. I got to get it. I got to get a couple more running backs here.
Don't get pissed because I got 2 running backs at the top of my queue.
It better not be mine.
It might be.
Okay, you better go screw yourself if they're mine. Knock you out. Okay, fine. That's fine. That's fine. You can be who you want to be. Now the question is.
See, I like Todd Brooks more because of how much I don't like the situation the guy in front of him in Brown. Going with Mitchell? Are you serious? What are you doing?
We're taking a floater. The reason I want to take Mitchell on this team is because in terms of advance rates, I'm really not sure Keaton Mitchell's going to be on a lot of teams.
No, he's definitely not.
And
he's not in the NFL.
Hold on. And my team, the way it's built in terms of my running back room, right? If he has a good game, there will be a role for him on my team.
That's more of a sign that you built a bad running back room.
It's all there is upside. I have a room minus Aaron Jones full of upside. All right. So, yeah. So again, just finishing this thought on tight ends, right? Is can you name, without looking, Joe, the tight ends all tied for 5 touchdowns last year?
Oh, I bet there's a ton of them.
There were 4. One of them was Brock Bowers.
I bet it's like Freiermuth. Gesicki probably got more than 5, but I'll put him in that list.
What is that noise? Is that you?
It must have been. I'll go Gesicki in that group because they scored a ton of touchdowns.
Okay. You think it's
Goddard?
Gesicki?
I'll go with Goddard just because. No, probably not though. You said Andrews was above 5.
Andrews was at 11. He was the highest. He was that. So the top 4, or the top 1, 2, 3.
The Hawk
4,
probably
5.
got the 5.
So these are the 7. These are the 7 players that had more than 7 touchdowns as a tight end last year. Yeah. Andrews, Kittle, Jonnu, Zach Ertz, Sam Laporta, Freiermuth, Tucker Kraft. Those are the only tight ends that got above 7 last
year. And Freiermuth's going to the last round now.
Can you name, and Isaiah Likely was at 6. Can you name the 5? Well, it's Brock Bowers, David Njoku, Noah Gray, and Foster Moreau. So when you look at situations, right? And then you have a bunch of guys that are hodgepodge at 4, 3, 2. McBride only had 2 touchdowns last year. So the upside with McBride is that if McBride is able to hold fast with his target share, right, and is able to make do with that, then you have a player who, if he jumps up to 7 touchdowns, you're cake, right? You're winning everything. So like you have to kind of build that into your rankings, right? It's like, so when we look at a guy like Elijah Arroyo, for example, battling AJ Barner, will that work out for him? Maybe, maybe not. Hunter Henry was down here. Although he had 97 targets, he only had 2 touchdowns. So if he had more touchdowns last year, let's say he had 6 touchdowns, maybe he gets drafted a couple of rounds higher. Yeah, you don't. It is never fun to be riding the Tucker Kraft train where you get 3 touchdowns in one game and then 0 catches the next. However, if you look at the matchups as you do it and you say, where are the possibilities for Tucker Kraft's 3 touchdowns? And you say, okay, well, on average, last year, a guy like Tucker Kraft is scoring 15th best, 9.6 points. But he's being drafted. And Joe, can you just pull up where in this draft Tucker Kraft was being drafted? It's just an example. And then I want to touch on the Mario Douglas thing.
Tucker Kraft went 128 overall, 11-8.
Okay, so 128 overall, Tucker Kraft, averaging, again, 7 touchdowns, only 700 yards, 50 receptions, 9.6 points per game, okay? And then you take the same, around the same-ish sample size. Where did Dalton Kincaid get drafted, Joe?
I forced him as a stack at 11-3.
Okay, so lower than Kraft, correct?
No, 5 picks earlier.
5 picks earlier. So last year, Dalton Kincaid had 44 receptions, 75 targets, and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's going up.
Averaging 7.8 points per game. So does Tucker Kraft, so this is the question, right? If you're drafting Tucker Kraft, does he keep his touchdown output or does he lose that touchdown output? And if he were to go down to 2 touchdowns, he's all of a sudden not in that top 10. Yeah. But if he were to stay there and get that 7, and that's why like a player like
the question is, with Dalton Kincaid, who's had no offensive weapons added to his team, or Tucker Kraft, who had a first-round pass catcher added to his team, who's more likely to lose? Obviously,
so there's that. But also, Joe, this is why I'm not necessarily super scared right now about Mark Andrews or Isaiah Likely, is that combined last year, they had 17.
You'd be scared about Likely. He's not playing until Halloween.
But listen, they had 17 total touchdowns last year. Lamar Jackson loves his tight ends. So although Mark Andrews only had 69 targets last year, and while Isaiah Likely had 58 targets last year, and none of them crested over 700 yards, their touchdown number is relatively safe because we know
Baltimore's no score. Baltimore will blow people out.
George Kittle's touchdown number is relatively safe as well. And so you look for where that upside could be at, right? Like, you know, the Seattle tight ends, if one of them hits, we have Barner, who had 4 touchdowns last year, not a lot of receptions. You know, it's just gross. And it's weird when you sort it like this, right? Where you sort it by like touchdowns and you see in the same eye view that Trey McBride had less touchdowns than the following tight ends last year. Travis Kelce, Jawan Johnson, Austin Hooper, Josh Oliver, Nick Vannett,
guys,
and Nate Adkins.
I'm leaving the episode on this point.
Hold on.
Everyone thinks that there's nowhere for McBride to go up because he has to catch touchdowns. You can never, ever overestimate Kyler Murray's ability to destroy a team. Fact of life, you have to be able to see where you're throwing the ball. He can't see over the middle. He is always going to be hampered by Kyler Murray from scoring touchdowns.
Yeah,
Trace
and you're not going
McBride is a trap. Bob, any final thoughts? We wrap up.
I don't think Trey McBride is a trap.
Such a trap.
I don't think so. Kyler Murray may have ruined Mamie Shea. I think they're in for a good year. We'll talk more about it on Wednesday. Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll be back Wednesday, 3:45.